It's now 1 minute past 8. You listen to Moreton Bay's own radio station. And it's a Thursday morning, so it means it's SportsFeva time. Good morning to Peter Swampy Marsh.
Good morning to you, Matty, and wonderful time of the year as always with summer competitions finishing up, plenty of finals to talk about, and winter competitions just starting to kick off, which is always a wonderful time for sports fans. With you can just about close your eyes, throw a dart at a board, and you'll find a fantastic local team to follow in winter.
To quote the great Bill Lowry, it's all happening, isn't it?
It is all happening indeed.
It's plenty to come on the show this morning. Now, Action Pack, a really good friend of our show, makes his 2013 SportsFeva debut. Rupert McCall, he'll be here to talk about Dolphins' first home game of the season. He's coming up shortly. We'll also be talking to local cricket star, particularly the last couple of years, Jason Morris. What he's done for Caboolture cricket's been enormous. We'll have a yarn to Jason. And then what about these mighty Bulls, Swampy? Every time they look down and out, they pop up in a final.
Oh, that's where you want to be as a Queenslander, isn't it? With everyone riding you off. Look, was it that they came from last place on the Shield ladder 2 hours before their last win to up into second place and into the final? Extraordinary stuff.
Essentially, going into the last round of fixtures, every team could make the final, and being in Perth, the Bulls and Warriors game was the last game. So until they actually won that game, they were in last position, the Bulls. So they snuck through into the final. They go to Tasmania. It's a replay of last year's Shield final. Of course, it was up at the Gabba, so a little bit harder to win because as the home team, you've only got a draw. So, but we'll talk to Stevie Gray more about that, and of course the huge snubs yesterday. It took over Twitter there for a while. All-star teams named by the Players Association in 2020. Ryobi Cup and Sheffield Shield, and I must add, Queensland hold the titles in all these, in each format of the sport. Not one player, not one.
How does that happen? I mean, what more do Queensland players need to do?
I can't see how you can justify it.
No.
I honestly can't. First one's Luke Pommersbash. How doesn't he make the 2020 All-Star? Is he the best by a mile? Chris Lynn was the best young player.
Chris Hartley.
Why
can't he get a run in one of those sides?
Joe Burns?
It's extraordinary stuff, and look, at the end of the day, it's just it's an honorary team and nothing more. And Queensland do hold all the titles that count. But here's a tell you what, I don't know what more you need to do than be currently holding all three titles and looking to win all three titles in the same year to get at least one or two players in one of those sides. And I tell you what, some of the players in there, Steve Smith.
Oh, please, please.
Enrique's. I really don't understand that team, but must be wiser heads than us.
I'm sure Stevie Gray will have some words on that one as well. Going by Twitter, I don't think Stevie was real happy about it either. Either was anyone. Crash Craddock, he was blowing up. Ben Dorries, we're all on board. Anyway, I'll save that for later, Swampy. I'm very angry. We'll play a song, I'll calm down, and we'll talk to our good friend Rupert McCall. 6 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. And it's time now to be joined for the first time in 2013 by a good friend of the show. He's a passionate Dolphins man like ourselves, Swamp. Joining us on the line is Rupert McCall, number one ticket holder of the Redcliffe Dolphins. Morning, Rupe.
Morning, boys. Imagine when Petro leads the team out of the tunnel on Sunday afternoon at Dolphin Oval, the crowd will go mental as anything.
That's exactly right, Rupert. A very exciting and beautiful segue there as well. But how good is it to see the big fella back at Dolphin Oval as he comes down that tunnel? I can vaguely remember that his game in '94. I remember him playing in the Colts grand final in '94, certainly on that great day when we clean swept the grand finals. But what an honour to have him back playing for our club.
Absolutely. I think when the seed was planted initially, it was sort of beyond everyone's wildest dreams that it would come to fruition. It was a bit of I'm sure that there's that little whisper or rumour floating around, but no way would we see Petro, having done what he's done for the Broncos, for Queensland and for Australia over the years, put the red and white jersey on and play for Redcliffe. And as every sort of week ticked on, the rumour was still there. It grew some legs and some momentum, and then I was having a beer with Petro at the club one day, and I said, "Mate, are you serious?" And he looked me in the eye and said, "I want to play for the Dolphins." and I thought, you beauty. I shiver down my spine, and how good is it for rugby league, for the Queensland Cup, for every team in the competition to say that this weekend, one of the greats of rugby league will be running out onto the paddock, and it's just got to be an inspiration for kids, for their parents, and for everyone who loves the game.
It's a massive coup for the competition, Rupert, and for the Dolphins and for rugby league in general to still have Petro giving back to this game that we all love. And by all accounts, it's been already an incredible time that he's spent there. He's not shying away from any hard work. He's training just as hard as some blokes that are, up to 10 years younger than him, and not shying away from any of the responsibility as well in taking on the captaincy role this season.
No, having made that decision, it's not going to be 98% with Petro 7C, but it's 100, and everyone around him lifts and learns, and and gets on the front foot. It's just it really is. I mean, for me to be able to say to my boys, we're going to Dolphin Oval this Sunday, and we'll see Redcliffe, but we'll see Petro leading them out. Well, you just can you can measure the spark in their eye, and I can't wait.
It draws so many. I was too young to remember it at the time, Rupert, but so many parallels to when the great man Arthur Beetson come back to have that season in '81.
Yeah, Artie, I was just a kid, I was at my back against the old tin fence, ready to run out onto the field to get his autograph, and the big man just stood there, and I handed him my autograph book. He signed it, and he left a thumbprint of blood on the other side of the autograph book, and I've still got that, and I thought that was one of the best things in my life, that the great man Arthur Beetson, who'd played that, the first game of Origin in 1981 and signed my autograph book, and I'll never forget it, and Petro will have a similar effect. Now,
we perhaps seeing some of the Petro effect already rolling through the Dolphins with an absolutely stellar first-up win over the Wynnum Seagulls at the weekend. Look, it's only early days, Rupert, but there was a lot to like in that game.
Yeah, if the first 20 isn't any indication as to the way that we're going to play our football in season 2013, well, people get excited because, Redcliffe mean business. Having said that, boys, it barely scratches the itch of where we want to be. As you know, after the disappointment of last year, we won't rest until, we go the whole way and go the whole distance, and we won't be resting on any laurels there, but certainly the signs were good first up. An impressive performance by our pack, led by Petro and the big boys, Haler, Isaac Armau and Nick Sliney, of course. The back row of, what a back row. That's sending a shiver down my spine and down the spine of every team that we come up against. With the new boy Marquetto and help me out, boy.
GC's there in the back row, yeah, of course.
He looked a little bit, I know Troy Geese, yeah, but the other fellow, he looked a little bit like...
Sarafu Fatiaki, I think.
Fatiaki, yes. I thought he had a bit of Toto Kefu about him out there. But, there was some big hits out there, some real bone rattlers, and I think Tommy Butterfield and the East Boys will be, they just might be having a little tiny bit of a look on Sunday afternoon.
Of course, you mentioned Tommy. Our Dolphins' favourite, of course, has defected over to the East Tigers. It will be a little bit disappointing and a little bit strange to see Tommy in the orange and black of the Tigers, but he'll be looking sideways for Fatiaki and co coming at him on Sunday, no doubt.
With a big smile on his face too, Tommy. He'll be he'll enjoy that challenge, and he's a quality player, a quality human being, Butterfield. And, I expect him to play really well on Sunday. He'll rise to the occasion. Hopefully, the team won't sort of rally and ride around him too much, but it's going to be. It always is a great clash, the Dolphins and the Tigers. We love to beat the Tigers, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. Their new coach, the man we know as Trigger, who's also got a bit of Redcliffe on his resume. This is what it's all about. I mean, it was a great start to the season playing the Seagulls at Cougarai and dusting them off, but it'll be even better to go, back to back and dispose of the Tigers on Sunday.
And it's a huge Sunday planned at Dolphin Oval. We've got 5 games. Of course, we've got the Colts, Fogs Cup, Queensland Cup, and I stress for anyone heading out on Sunday to stick around after the Queensland Cup because there's 2 quality of our younger sides, the Cyril Connell Cup and Mel Meninga sides will play after that Queensland Cup clash as well. So it's a huge afternoon at Dolphin Oval, Root.
Yeah, fire up that snow cone van, because I'm heading in that direction with my 3 boys in red and white, and I'll have the old favourite, the sarsaparilla snow cone. I'll grab a handful of doubles from Dorney and the girls on the gate on the way in. I'll sit up on that hill and I'll be in heaven.
I can't wait, Rupert, and I'll make sure they stock up on some extra sarsaparilla flavouring on Sunday for the snow cone van.
Oh, you got to love it. I can smell it already. There's the grassroots feel of sitting on that hill, as I did, as my father did. Took me to the games when I was a young fella, and now I'm doing the same. It's, this is rugby league at its best. It's great that Channel 9 now has realised that and broadcast it into the lounge rooms of Queenslanders every Sunday afternoon. There's been a lot of, I suppose, adversity and controversy hovering over the game in the lead up to this season. But when you're out there on Sunday afternoon, you'll feel it and you'll see it and you'll taste it at its best.
Can't wait. You've got us pumped up, as you always do, Rupert. You do a great job. We'll see you out there on a Sunday. We'll see Petro. We'll see them all. We'll see all the stars of Redcliffe. We can't wait for Sunday to tick along. Thanks, boys. Matty and Swampy, I just wanted to, I should mention at the end that, the thoughts and prayers of everyone in the rugby league community, go out to Graham Murray, the coach of Winner Manly, and his family. If you might have already mentioned it, but Muzz is a great man for the game. Had a heart attack leading up to the first round clash on the weekend, and he's got a bit of a challenge ahead of him. So certainly thoughts and prayers in his direction. Yeah, well said, Rupert. We send out all our thoughts and prayers to Graham Murray as he tries to overcome this battle. Thanks, boys. We'll see you on Sunday. See you there, Rupert. Cheers, mate. Rupert McCall, Swamp, number 1 ticket holder for the Mighty Finns, and he did it all through season 2012, and he's backed up. He's got us fired up, ready for this big home game on Sunday. He's backed up as well as the Dolphins did at the weekend. It was an absolutely stellar performance there, Matty. A couple of things I really want to make mention of that caught my eye. Joe Bond is as good as Joe Bond ever was in season 2012, and looks to just be continuing that stellar season that he had, and it's the reason that he got a Broncos contract, and it's just an absolute treat to watch that man play football. Every time he hits the field, he's just an absolute live wire. Jake Marchetto will feature on the Big Hits reel for sure this year. He was absolutely bruising in defence and just, looks to add a real edge in that second row for the Dolphins, and, I can't wait to see him run out there again. And a big congratulations to another good friend of the show, and Liam Georgetown, who continues his extraordinary try-scoring run with his 19th game straight where he scored a try. I didn't think Lummy was going to get there, but I think it was about 90 seconds to go. He managed to find the line, as he always does, and through a lot of traffic as well. So congratulations on Liam continuing that run, and also becoming the fourth highest point scorer ever in the Queensland Cup, passing Brad Davis, I think, at the weekend, and he's every chance to shift up into third place this weekend as well. He's only 12 or 14 points behind third place. He's got a real chance to make this record his own. I know he's a little way off the all-time, but he's still got plenty of years left in him. It's not as far as you think. No. If he keeps turning in seasons like it is, it can only be a couple away. Oh, he'll reel it in, and then he'll set a mark that I'd say will take a long time to be run down, the great Liam Lummy Georgetown. But just a reminder, everyone, that's a huge Sunday. This Sunday at Dolphin Oval. I think the first game is 10:30. That's Colts. Then you will see the Fogs, a.k.a. the reserve grade, and then we see our Queensland Cup play as well. So it's a huge day out at Dolphin Oval, and I just can't wait. Worth sticking around, like you said, Matty, for those Cyril Connell Mal Meninga games. There are a lot of talent in those sides from all of our junior clubs around the region here that are being fostered and developed into future Dolphins and possible future NRL players. So if you're looking for a local link to follow in those sides, it's not hard to find one. There are players from right across every rugby league team in our patch. Yeah, absolutely. Get along and watch them. And also we should mention our newest team from the region, the North Lakes Kangaroos, chalked up a win. 28-20
20 over the Pine Central Holy Spirits in a big local derby there for them. So, of course, the way that the Kangaroos are going to work is they've got their own batch of players, but they're also getting a few players back from the Fogs or the reserve grade from the Dolphins, who until now really have had nowhere to play if they aren't getting a run in Intrust Super Cup or the Fogs. So they'll go back and play for the Kangaroos and keep that match fitness and look at a fantastic debut for the Kangaroos. They're back on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. at Dolphin Oval taking on the Christian Lions. So if you want to have a look at the Kangaroos, get along on Saturday afternoon as well.
It's a good quality of football. So it's a similar setup to how we see Harler and Sliney and Cape will come back with Broncos contract, but will play for the Broncos when not required. So good luck to the Mighty Roos. Time now for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to talk some local cricket. 20 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You listen to Sports Fever with Matthew and Swampy. And joining us on the line now, he's another good friend of the show from Caboolture Cricket. Jason Voris joins us on the line. Morning, Jace.
Morning, guys. How's things?
Look, we're very good, Jason, but not quite as good as the Caboolture Snakes are sitting at the moment. For those who aren't aware, it's the grand final of the two-day competition in the Sunshine Coast Premier League. The grand final played, of course, over 3 days, with the third day coming up on Saturday, and the Snakes in a very good position leading into Saturday with a lead of 162 runs. Currently it's 6 for 114 in their second innings, and Gympie's still to bat. But before we do get to the actual results, Jason, a little bird has told us that you'll be hanging out the boots on Saturday afternoon when the game's finished. How does it feel to be, I suppose, lining up for what'll be your last sort of game of first-grade cricket on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a week of lasts for me. So tonight's my last training session. Saturday I'm next in to bat, so it'll be the last time I walk out to bat. And then when we do get the ball in our hand, it'll be the last time I bowl in the game. And it hasn't really sunk in yet. I told the boys before the warm-up on Saturday, I'd already told my family. The decision I haven't come to easy. Years ago, Murph Hughes said to me, you're a long time retired, but you'll know the day. And he said, if it's clear, don't go back on it. So, it was emotional telling the boys on Saturday, guys. I got a bit teary, and, even now you think about how long I've played this game, which is nearly 29 years, and it's a long time in one game.
Now, you're certainly not going out down on form by any means. After telling the boys about the decision, you turned in a wonderful spell on Sunday last week to come out with 4 for 49 off 23 overs and really put a halt on that Gympie counter-attack on Sunday morning. I imagine you must be pretty impressed with those figures. Yeah,
well, I haven't, I've bowled pretty well all year, but without luck, and I guess it happens a bit when you beat the bat. But it's probably the best spell I've bowled in 4 or 5 years. Quite some time. I've played a lot of cricket at that ground, and I hold it close to my heart. I've won a flag there for the Scorchers, and I've won 2 there for the Snakes, and hopefully 3 after this weekend. So I love that ground. I sat there on the Sunday before the game started. I love Matthew Hayden in the middle by myself, and sort of took a few things in, and I don't know, it was just weird. I knew that I was going to bowl well that day. I know it's a bit weird when you say things like that, but something just felt right from the moment I walked out. So.
Now, before there are hopefully some celebratory drinks to celebrate a big premiership win for the Snakes, there is still a lot of work to do on Saturday. Of course, the score at 6 for 114 with yourself in to bat next and a lead of 162 in hand. How are the boys going to approach Saturday?
I think, our plan is if we can bat an hour to an hour and a half, we pretty much bat them out of the game. Anything over 160 to 180 chase on that wicket is very hard. And even though they were very happy they bowled us out for 184, their Scorcher players knew that was going to be a hard chase. They'd played cricket there, and, anything around, you think you're in, and then all of a sudden one jumps at you and you nick it and you're out. It's a wicket. If we could get that 200 mark ahead, it really puts a psychological factor in the game. And if we get 200 ahead, I don't think they can beat us.
I suppose the danger for the Snakes is that this is a Gympie side that's been on top all year. Probably had a fair bit of pressure going into the grand final, but they've got no choice but to throw the bat at it and chase when they do eventually get a run on Saturday. Is the team a little bit wary of, I suppose, coming out to face a side that's got nothing to lose?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We went into the first innings with nothing to lose, I guess. We knew we knew that all the pressure was on them. They're the big favourites. We just had to play the cricket we've played all year, and you've got to do something special to win a grand final. It's not about winning every game all year and finishing the ladder. We've been there, we've done it, and, we reminded them a few times throughout the innings that, it takes a lot to win a grand final, and if they come out and play hard on that wicket, I think it plays into our hands.
So have we got you there, Jason?
Yeah, mate. I said if they come out hard and play shots, it plays into our hands. I think. I still think we have nothing to lose personally.
And a fair bit of arsenal that the Snakes have still got up their sleeve. Matt Anderson, who's we long talked about as one of the absolute best bowlers in this competition, really sparingly used compared to what he's used to bowling in that first innings. There was some wonderful work by yourself and Matt Parkinson as well. So a big weapon you've got up your sleeve there with Matt Anderson probably taking advantage of that pitch on the last day.
Not a bad bloke to have up your sleeve, the best bowler in the competition. He's bowled. He's by far the best bowler. And that wicket will play to his advantage. And I guess the thing in the back of their mind is he only bowled not many overs in the first innings. It was us that bowled the majority of the overs. So he will bowl a lot of overs in the second innings, and I imagine I will as well. I'll be putting my hand up, and it's going to be pretty hard to take the ball out of my hand if I'm bowling well. I'll just keep running. If even have to run through Cameron, if he says no, I'll just keep bowling. I mean, it's my last game, and if I'm bowling well, I want to be there at the end. So. Yeah.
And no use leaving anything in the tank. It sets up for a fairy tale finish, possibly, Jason. We're very excited. We appreciate, as sports lovers and cricket lovers, what you've brought to the local game in the last couple of years. Before we let you go, though, maybe the last time we do talk to you on SportsFeva, we probably got to have a little bit of a dig about St George, mate, while they're going ordinary this year. We better get one last dig in.
Yeah, well, I guess all Dragons fans out there, it's going to be a long year. I mean, I have a Broncos season ticket now. Me and my best mate are a Dragons fan, who's a Dragons fan as well. We have a nice little season ticket there. We're not wearing any Broncos apparel at all, but it means we can go to a few games throughout the year. But it's going to be tough this weekend. We go to Canberra. We haven't won in 12 years, and they're coming off of something. So Sunday afternoon at Bruce Stadium is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it certainly will be. But good luck to the Dragons and your support there, and definitely good luck to yourself and the Snakes, and enjoy your retirement. What a year for retirements. All the big names, Hussey, Ponting, and now Jay Boris.
Yeah, guys, thanks for all your support. I really do appreciate it. And, I'm always around for a chat. So
We'll hold you to that, Jace. Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, guys. See you.
Cheers, Jason.
Swamp, one of the great local sporting stars, and kind of, well, similar to a Petro in the cricketing world. Jason, a very quality player to come back and obviously not from the local region, but come back and put back into the game at this grassroots level.
Of course, county cricket experience under his belt, first grade cricket in Queensland and nationally under his belt is, and it's been fantastic these last couple of years to have him within the Caboolture cricket system, and he's been a big part of their success, or their continued success rather, these last couple of seasons. And he's pretty much about saying, hanging up the boots, but look, it gives the Snakes plenty of ammunition heading into this final day, and they probably didn't need too much more, Matty. Of course, they've made the three finals of this that are available to them this season. The 2020 and the one day, they lost both of those. Just didn't turn in a performance that they were happy with on the day. So they are absolutely hungry for a title, given that they've made those previous two grand finals and not turned in what they're happy with. So hopefully they can kick on. They're definitely on top in this game, but you can't write off a side against Gympie who's got nothing to lose. So they want to, as Jason said, bat for that first 2 hours, I think, and really put this game out of the question.
Exciting times, and a little bit of cool waiting through there. Someone obviously Jason hadn't told he'd retired, and he was ringing up to let him know that he shouldn't retire. But honestly, Swamp, probably one of the best quality players to come back and play at this level that I can remember anyway. Maybe along with Anderson as well.
Absolutely. Maybe it was Mickey giving him a call to see if he was available to jet over to India. Now that he's free of his Snakes commitments, he needs a valuable seamer who can bat a little bit to head over there, perhaps.
I think he'd offer something on those Indian pitches, Jay Boris. I really do.
Look, he's got to offer more than what we've got there at the moment.
Good grief. Don't get me started on this cricket against Swamp. It gets me very angry, mate. It's 29 part. You've got to go for a song again. It's bang on 8:30 now. Time for some Ice House, and we'll be back with more sport. Yeah, it's 25 to 9 here on 101.5. You listen to Sports Fever with Matthew and Swampy Marsh. Now, Swampy, netball is back on this weekend. The Firebirds do battle on Sunday at the Convention Centre. Maybe you can get to the Convention Centre and then duck over to Dolphin Oval.
It kicks off at
11:10.
So
you could work it. You're going to miss
definitely.
Colts and reserve grade, but you'll get there for the Queensland Cup.
Look, I think we'll forgive you for that if you're heading along to watch a very good friend of the show and, of course, Redcliffe product in Jacinta Messer, who's back on board with the Firebirds this year. And wonderful to see her get a more senior role in the team this year. Of course, was picked up in the 2012 season and really made a name for herself towards the back end of the year. So she'll take on a more senior role on that side, and great to have the ANZ Championship back on.
And we'll most likely have a chat to Jacinta next week on the show. Just we tried for this week, but most likely we'll definitely get her on next week for a yarn. Jacinta Messer, favourite of Sports Fever. Now, Swampy, the Bronx, after a disappointing round 1 loss to Manly, got the job done against St George. Look, St George, they're no stars. We just talked to one of their biggest supporters, Jason Boris. He's reading them off already, basically. He said he's a Broncos fan now. But, look, it was a gutsy win, but it was only St George.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing you can say about it, Matty. It was gutsy. I think 19 sets to 9, the stat was on Friday night last week, that the Broncos were forced to defend. And, look, you could probably take a little bit out of that defence. It was incredible to see them back up that many times and hold them out. But it was an attack that just really had no answers, and when they finally made a break through the Broncos line, it was only through a forward pass. So you can't take too much out of it, other than it was 2 points and it was a bit of a gutsy early season win. But look, Corey Norman perhaps looked a little bit more at home at fullback, I thought, in that game. Whether he continues to stay there, I still don't know. But Prince and Wallace probably looked a little bit more settled this time around, I thought. And Matt Gillette, again, very, very strong in that second round. Probably my pick of the players for the opening 2 rounds from the Broncos.
All bias aside, Swamp, I thought the 2 best were a couple of Moreton Bay's own, Joshy Hoffman and Matty Gillette. Hoffman, look, he's making a real fist of this wing spot. You know, he's made no secret that he prefers to play fullback, but they're trying the Norman experiment. But everything Hoffman's done on the wing position has been really impressive, and Gillette just had a real purpose in all of his runs. Spent some time in the centres. If Hodges doesn't play on the weekend, he's slated to probably play the whole game in the centres next week. Look, he was really impressive.
He just brings so much in defence. I think he's, he fulfills that role in the second row where he's reading the attack exceptionally well, and he's coming out of that line to put. So many times you see him come out and put pressure on the ball player, and that's so important at the NRL level, when that you can subtract, that extra half a second that they would normally have to play. It just makes great playmakers think twice about what they're doing when they've got him charging down. He does it every game for the 80 minutes. So that's been my favourite part about the Broncos so far this season. What do you think about rumours swirling, though, Matty, that they could be chasing Josh Dugan? I don't like it myself. I can't see why you'd let a player like Dane Gagai go last year for some minor but probably fair disciplinary infractions than chase a player who's got a long rap sheet by the sound of it.
I'm not against looking into it, but I'd be very surprised if they sign, and I guess disappointed if they did sign. I think you do need to always just explore the options when a player of Dugan's capability does come on the market. But look, the Broncos have been very proud for 25 years about the standard that they set, and look, you couldn't see Dugan fitting into that type of that structure. That culture is the word I was looking for. So, look, very interesting. We've seen Josh Hoffman drop last year for being late to training and things like that. So, Hook Griffin certainly sets a high benchmark, and it'll be different. It'll certainly split the Broncos supporter base. I know there's definitely a lot of supporters that it's a win at all costs. Don't care about off-field behaviour, but I know the majority of Broncos fans are proud of the culture, and that the culture becomes before winning.
I think the the Broncos fans and even the Broncos in general are proud of the fact that when they win premierships, it's by players that they've developed and brought through. You can't think of too many cases where Broncos have bought a premiership by going and signing those players. They're players that have been bubbling away for 2, 3, 4 years and then finally deliver on that promise. So, and that's what this would reek of a little bit, looking to buy a premiership in recruiting a player when they've probably got 3 or 4 capable players on their roster already who are worth investing the time into.
Yeah, and look, they have shown if there is a player, they will buy him. But normally they don't have the off-field issues that this guy's got. So how they play it, only time will tell. Sometimes a lot of these things pop up with media talk. A manager will leak something out there and make some good paper talk and lifts the player's price. So I'd be surprised if it's much more than that. I reckon he may end up at the Dragons, and if that case, I feel really sorry for Gerard Beale, because who's gone to St George to play fullback, and if they buy this bloke, look, unlucky, because he was a real loss for the Bronx as well.
More concern coming out yesterday, of course, as well, with this ongoing Asada drama as well. Reports of 31 players that will be talked to by the authority, and by all means, it's not an indication of their guilt in any way. They're players that the authorities want to talk to as part of their investigation. So we're still yet to learn that. Probably 4 to 6 weeks away, they're saying, Matty, which I think is not a good thing at the moment. I realise obviously there's some logistical concerns about that, but look, the longer this drags on, the more innuendo and rumour gets spread, and the more misinformation gets put out there about clean players. I think if they've got hard evidence on say 10, 15 players, get them out there, get them out of the game, and let's bring this to a head.
I know we spoke about it with Woz last week. In the age of social media, Swamp, you can't go half-hearted at these things. Stories break in seconds, straight up on. Everyone can be a journalist on Twitter or Facebook or blogs or whatever it may be. So you've got to go hard at this. You can't go half-hearted. It just puts it. And I think it's a very serious issue that's lost a bit of momentum. The care factor has started to wane a little bit about it as well. And I want to stress, this is a serious issue and something that is huge in the game of rugby league. But the way it's been handled, people are over it.
And we don't want the fans of the general public to be over this. We want them to, and the game should want them to be absolutely outraged at these players that have broken the rules and demand that they be kicked out so they've got a clean product to present. Allowing this sort of malaise and half-heartedness to kick in is not a good thing, because it could entirely mean that they'll be facing this again 2-3 years down the track. You want the fans to stand up and go, this is no good for our game, get out. Interesting proposal I read during the week of contingency plans being put in place by the NRL, where we could see the bottom, say, 4 to 6 players on every club's list be given the opportunity to go to clubs who are massively affected by player bans. You'd have to think the Sharks would feature as that club, and talk of no players forced, but given the opportunity to shift across to the, obviously the NRL can still fulfil its media commitments of fielding X amount of games every week. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. There's plenty of players that are in that list across every club that are just on that fringe and might sniff an opportunity out of this to get a go. None will be forced, but to me, even if that's not the case, the fact that that's being talked about suggests that we could see some pretty serious stuff coming out at the end of that 4 to 6 week deadline.
Yes, certainly, Swamp. Interesting times ahead. Time for a quick song. We'll be back to talk some Shield cricket. 12 minutes to 9 here on 101.5. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. That was Billy Ocean. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I don't think there's a better song ever written to sum up the Queensland cricket team this season. Every time the going gets tough, they certainly get going. Stevie Gray, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, g'day boys, and that's probably very appropriate, isn't it? They do seem to get going, the boys, and they've managed to do it sort of across the board, whether under the guise of the Bulls or under the guise of the Brisbane Heat and the BBL. So yeah, it's actually been quite a remarkable season, and we're here now, 7 Hobart. Unfortunately, under very leaden skies at the moment with the rain coming down, but we're in the final of the Sheffield Shield, and with any luck, there's one more chance to give a good account of ourselves.
It's quite remarkable and similar to the, like we said in the heat in the one day. We look like we're going to struggle to make the final. In the Shield game, we headed to Perth with high hopes, but after the first innings, we looked in all sorts, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. And look, it just goes to show that there's a fine line, isn't there, between sort of a winning outcome and sort of a what might have been sort of outcome. And I guess the Bulls have been pretty good in the sense that whenever the chips have been down and when they've really needed to pull something special out, someone's either been able to do it or they collectively been able to pull something together. And that's worked. And as I said, basically they were the last team into the final. It was a remarkable stat that they were sort of basically went from last to second basically with 1 wicket and into the final. So good on them. They've certainly worked very hard and they're enjoying their cricket under Darren Lehmann. So let's hope they can just go that final step and make it a clean sweep this year.
Just on Darren Lehmann there, Steve, you'd have to think a fair bit of the credit on, as you said, being able to pull things together when the chips are down and things look all things other than how they should look. Buff has probably been the edge that the Bulls have had there to be able to pull out of those doldrums and really make it through to these finals. Well, we've said it plenty of times before, but he's just been incredible what he's been able to do with this team.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a very big factor in it. And look, he's got him playing good cricket, but he's got him enjoying himself. That's probably the main thing, I suppose. In some ways, it probably transcends the fact that they're playing reasonable cricket. They're just enjoying themselves. They're playing for each other and they're having a bit of fun. And it's great. It's great to watch the go about themselves. I was able to sort of see them yesterday, just sort of unwind a bit across the day, and they certainly they enjoy each other's company and they genuinely handle themselves pretty well. It was interesting, at the State Cricket Awards yesterday, of course, they announced the teams of the various All-Star teams, and Paul Marsh from the ACA was quite upfront. He said, look, there are no Queenslanders in these teams, which may raise some eyebrows. And there were some sharp intakes of breath and a couple of people looking a little bit hot under the collar, and then all of a sudden you could just see him flick back in and go, what's new? No, nothing's changed, and let's just, we'll just get on what we're doing. So they're quite realistic about themselves. That's probably the thing I was trying to say. They're realistic. They know they're not probably they're the world's best team, but they might be on paper, but they seem to be able to do the job when they need to.
Regardless of that, I blew up earlier on the show about this, Steve, though. I think it's an outrage. There's still some players that certainly deserve to be in all of those sides. Luke Pommersbash, Joe Burns, it's just got me shaking my head, and the Twitterverse took off yesterday with it as well.
It sure did. Funny thing was, it really did. And look, I saw Joey Burns was interviewed for another organisation, and one of the things he just said was, look, they're good teams, and we're not. We're not getting ahead of ourselves to say we should be ahead of any other player. He said they're all good players, good teams. He's diplomatic, but he's a young cricketer who you might have excused from being a bit sort of, a bit disappointed and worked up. But no, he took it on the stride. And Luke Pommersback, I think, wouldn't have even worried if he'd been in that team or not. He's just enjoying the chance he's got and the experiences he's getting. He's pinching himself some ways. He's made finals in all formats this year, and he's back and he's playing good cricket. So, it's funny. The individual, you can get a bit worked up about individual things, but in the end, the guys seem to be quite comfortable with the lot they've been dealt, and they're moving on with it. So I would think they've got extra motivation anyway. Not that they probably needed it, and they'll probably, if we get hopefully we get a break in weather, and then we get a nice fine game. I think this will be a very good game of cricket, because two pretty well matched teams. The Tigers have got a very strong line, but there's a bit of X factor about the Bulls team. You never quite know who's going to sort of turn it on, and it could be a player like a Greg Moore or a Peter Forrest, who up until now, the last few games, might have struggled a bit, but all it's going to take is one of them to get in and get going, and that's how games change.
It's going to be a big test down there against Tasmania, and I hear there's a young bloke by the name of R. Ponting that picked up the Player of the Year, who scored a few runs this season. Under the great Ricky Ponting, though, a wonderfully talented young lineup with the likes of Cosgrove and Doolan as well there. So plenty of tests there for the Bulls, and I suppose you guys will really be looking to Ryan Harris to stand up again.
Absolutely, Ryan Harris, James Hopes, and that's good news on James Hopes' front. Obviously, a baby girl arriving last night, so he'll be on a plane this morning, coming down to to Hobart. And, the Bulls were thrilled for him Monday when the word started flying around that his wife Maria had a baby girl. So all was well. So everyone was very, very pleased about that. So we're looking forward to having Hopesy down here. He's been playing very good cricket this season and runs in wickets. So that's great. And look, I think in Cameron Gannon, and look, Nathan Horace could be just a little bit of a smoky too. No one thinks spinners are going to play much of a role, but I can he'll be the only spinner playing in the game. It looks like Tassie will make the young left armer Harry Allen be the 12th man. So I just think Nathan Horace just might be a very interesting little sideshow or addendum to this game.
And of course, the Bulls chasing two little pieces of history there. I believe it will be the first time, if they were able to do it, that Queensland win both the One Day and the Shield title. But if we manage to do it, it'll be the first time that any team has won all three 2020 One Day and Shield titles since the introduction, of course, of the BBL, which will be a massive piece of history for Queensland to take hold of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. We were just reminiscing about that actually with some of the older guys the other day, and one of the things was noted was that Queensland for a while, when it was having a great run of success in the Shield, would sort of go alternate sort of years. So they'd go a Shield win one year and a One Day win the next year sort of thing. They seemed to get in a bit of a routine or a bit of a role, but they never quite did it at the same time. And it's interesting because this time around you wouldn't have said that we were going to put a campaign together that was going to net just sort of 2 or 3 titles all in the same season, but it's been one of those sort of, I guess it's been one of those sort of years where it's been very close. All the competitions have been close, and it's raised it so that you can well be the team that sort of is there standing, is the last man standing, so to speak, because that's sort of how the nature of it. You don't have to be a front runner to get there. Although I think in some ways, for all our nerves, it would have been nice to have a few front running wins. But I think everyone's resigned to the fact that we're going to have to tough it out and see where the results come at the end of it. I'll tell you one thing about that BBL, the 3 in a row. It's interesting. Like even New South Wales were very close one year, I think, to winning everything. But they weren't able. I think they got 2. So it's certainly. New South Wales has certainly been the benchmark, but yeah, that's right. No one's gone close to 3, which is great.
Yeah, we can't wait. And like you said, there has been some nerve-wracking victories for the Bulls in all these finals, and even last year's Sheffield Shield final, where we looked to be cruising and we made it a little bit hard on ourselves. But Hero Hartley dug us out of trouble. Let's hope that we lead from the front against Tassie. It all starts Friday. Steve, we really appreciate your time on the show, and if we win a Sheffield Shield, how about we make a date and have a yarn again next Thursday?
Yeah, I reckon that's an excellent idea. I think we should sort of pencil it in right now with a nice soft lead pencil. That'd be a great idea.
Sounds good to me, Steve. Enjoy the week, mate, and we'll hopefully talk to you next Thursday with a Sheffield Shield in our grasp.
No problems, James. Thanks very much, Paul.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Steve.
Stevie Gray, media man at Queensland Cricket Swamp, and one thing with the Shield final, I hope the rain stays away and it's a fair 5-day contest, and that Tassie don't win it on default.
I mean, I think Tassie would want to win this on a fair contest as well. There wouldn't be a team out there that wants to win it by a rain out. So hopefully it can clear up and the boys can get a great patch of play. And I hope you don't get any interruptions during the test as well. That's always favour one team the other depending on when it falls. No Cameron Boyce in this side, lost out, of course, to the former international spinner Nathan Horace, but a good season for Cameron, and he'll just keep maturing, I think, and we'll see a lot more of him again next year like we have in this season as well.
Yeah, I think, like Steve said, Tassie aren't even playing a spinner. I don't think conditions are going to suit. I think where Horace probably snuck past Boyce was that he's a very solid batsman as well, Horace, so he gives him that all-rounder factor. So he mightn't bowl that many overs, but he's a very solid batsman with Sheffield Shield hundreds to his name.
Now, one quick thing before the full-time siren does go, Matty, we can chalk another one up on that big blackboard for the SportsFeva bump. Nick Sliney opening the scoring against the Dolphins last week after having a chat with us on SportsFeva. It's a powerful thing.
It is a powerful thing. So what happens this week? You'd imagine Jason Boris gets a hat-trick or something along those lines.
Or comes in, gets a century in 50 balls.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see
gets the biggest sarsaparilla snow cone he has ever seen.
That's it. Just the ice machine doesn't stop and it just keeps pouring, and sarsaparilla filled, and Oh, it's exciting. I'm lining up for one of those sarsaparilla snow cones. Have you had one, Swamp?
I've had many sarsaparilla snow cone, but never one as good as that you do get at Dolphin.
They're the best. They're the best. And don't forget your doubles from Dorney. And if you want to talk some rugby league, when you buy your doubles, ask Dawn how you think the Dolphins will go. Spare yourself 10 minutes or so, because you won't if you're in a hurry. But it's I don't know anyone that knows their rugby league better than Dorney, the double sailor.
It's a fantastic chat. We could almost have her on, and she'd talk around us any day of the week.
Absolutely. So we'd have her on if we were longer than an hour show, but we couldn't fit her in. She's one of the best in the business. Now the countdown is on. The 1 minute warning siren has gone off, Swampy. I'll be at Dolphin Oval Sunday. You'll be there?
Absolutely.
Can't
for
wait.
The world.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you very much to all our guests this morning. Rupert McCall, Jason Voris, and again we wish Jason all the best in his last game, and also Stevie Gray from Queensland Cricket. We wish the Bulls all the best of luck in the Sheffield Shield, and any of our teams in the Moreton Bay region doing battle, wish them all the best. Just a reminder too, we've finally, after 5 years or 4 years, how long we've been doing the show for, we've made it onto Facebook, Swamp.
Oh, it's got to mean something, doesn't it?
If you're on Facebook, tap in SportsFeva 101.5 FM. You'll find our page there, like us, and you'll get up-to-date news through the week before we come back every Thursday.
Keep everyone in the loop.
We'll be back again next Thursday. Stand by now for the national news and morning magazine for all your news, views, and interviews.